Good morning, dear journalists, and thank you for coming. Benjo, Mayor Amotse, Mayor Kosi for coming this morning. The main objective of this friendly gathering is to initiate a friendly conversation between media representative and the embassy of Sudan, because we are partner as truth seeker. We would like to uncover the truth about the situation in Sudan. This is a press briefing just to give you an update about the current situation in Sudan, what is going on, and we have high confidence on the media, the national media, private media, that will reflect the truth about the conflict in Sudan, and more particularly the suffering of the Sudanese people over there. Having said that because Rwanda in particular have a historical background that would be more able to understand the situation of Sudan rather than any country in the world because of the genocide that happened in 1994 here. I would like just to shed lights very quickly. Then after that, we're going to have a video to show you the atrocities of the RSF. Then after that, I will open the panel for Q&A, question and answers, and will be open to answer any question that you have in your mind. I would like to correct one thing, as since I came to this country like 8 months ago, there is always a confusion between Sudan and South Sudan. And maybe some media representative might have that confusion. Sudan is the mother country of both Sudan and South Sudan. South Sudan, by referendum 2011, opted for independence. So it becomes like an independent state in 2011 and 12. But Sudan and not North Sudan is a mother country that I'm representing here. So I don't like to have any confusion about that. Second, we would like on this press briefing to call a spade a spade. That means we don't like to cover the truth for any political gain that you might imagine. The war in Sudan has been described by the international media as a forgotten war. Why? That because some international perspective have a real focus on the Israeli-Palestinian question or Russian-Ukrainian question. But the fact will remain loudly that the biggest humanitarian crisis on earth right now, it is in Sudan, not in other parts of the world. So it is not a forgotten war. I need your help as Rwandan media to focus more and more on Sudan and to report your constituency and local audience about the situation of Sudan. And you have the responsibility to educate, to spread awareness about this African problem that should be solved by African people. We would like also to correct the narrative of the war. This war is not between two generals, as some international media might reflect. It is a war between a rebel group led by former officer at the National Army, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, Hemeti, who rebelled against the state of Sudan in 15 of April 2023 and ignite a war against the state. Right now, the National Army, all Sudanese people are fighting together to keep the state, the unity of the state, and to defeat this rebel militia group in Sudan. The RSF ignited this war for two reasons. One, they set up a coup d'etat to assume power and to run the country because they have an economic empire that would like to protect. At the same time, they are rented gun for some regional powers that I will shed light later on about that, because they have been used as mercenaries in Libya, in Central Africa, and other countries in the region. So they are not independent, they are not sovereign. They have been used by regional power as mercenaries to serve the interests of that regional power over there. The third point of why they ignited this war, that they would like to make demographic change. They would like to have Darfur as country, a residence for Arab minorities that is scattered in the Sahel region. They would like to make the demographic change to eradicate the African tribes in Darfur and to bring to Darfur some minority Arab tribes that lived and are living in this Sahel country. So these three reasons together, they have a political ambition. They have a political ambition to assume power, to protect their economic empire. Second, to have demographic change and to have Darfur as Arab settlement over there, eradicate the Arab tribes. And third, also to work as a mercenaries for regional power to fight behalf on their interest. RSF have committed heinous crimes that have been reported and documented by the UN panel of experts, that Security Council have a full documentation about that. The international media like New York Times of US, Guardian of UK, and all international media, and more than that, also human rights international organizations such like Amnesty as well have reported. More than that, the Human Rights Council and the fact-finding missions also published a report just a few days ago, also documented all this. It is all over there. What they have committed in Sudan, it is a war crimes. It is a crimes against humanity that, as described by a lot of governments around the world, including US, including UK, and other countries. These crimes or war crimes or crimes against humanity amounted to genocide. And the details of this are available all over. We show you some of them during this briefing, but I would like just to narrate some of them. One, the mass killing is the military doctrine of RSF. Mass killing, killing civilians, shooting civilians for the sake of killing is the military doctrine, is to kill innocent people, civilian people, without any cause for that, except just killing and taking revenge for nothing. Second, there are a lot of evidence of mass graves in Western Darfur. This have been discovered by the international media, that 10th of dead people have been buried over there. They are civilians, they are not fighters at all. And this is a clear violation of the international humanitarian law and international law, and perpetrators should be held accountable. Second, the mass rape. We have registered 500 cases of rape of minor girls, of women, without any protection, that they rape them, merciless, they kill them. And right now, there is a credible reports in the media. Some of these women that had been raped committed suicide because they were pregnant. Some of them, they give birth right now. And this is part of the strategy to change the demography of the region. UK renowned newspaper just 2 days ago, Guardian, published an article that this rape is not just for personal interest, it is a policy that to change the demography, to give birth, as they call the Guardian, to an Arab new boys and girls, to change the demographic map in Western Darfur and in Darfur. They have been raping women, minor girls, all over Sudan. It's not in Darfur, right now in Al Jazeera state, in Sinnar area, and all over it is a military doctrine that they're using for these policies. The third of their crimes, right now you might hear that in eastern Al Jazeera region, they have killed hundreds of people. I'll give you one example. In a small village called Hilaliya, until this morning, the total death reached 402 women and men, civilians that have been killed by the RSF. This is a normal village, as you could imagine when you go out of this in Kigali. Small villages has been attacked. They kill all these people without any cause for that, just for killing. They are civilians, they are not fighters. Second, which is more ugly, they poison the water supply. So more people have been dead that because they drink the water that already poisoned by the RSF, because they put poison on the water supply, and there is a lot of people that right now is suffering. So the killing is not by shooting through guns, but also using other means which indicate that the military doctrine is just to kill civilians without any good reason for that. In other small villages in eastern Al Jazeera, Rufa'a, 300 people killed. In other small villages also, in Al Butana also, they killed hundreds of people. That is unarmed, they are not fighters at all. So the total death in just 2 weeks ago, right now, more than 1,000. This human suffering is amount to war crimes, is amount to genocide. It is crimes against humanity. The fourth type of crimes that RSF committed is just looting the properties of the people, destroying the infrastructure. Right now, 300 hospitals have been destroyed. All our education facilities has been destroyed. All infrastructure has been destroyed. Our health capacity to provide health service right now reduced to 20% alone. People don't have any access to health services all over. The government doing its best just to redeem the basic services in the country. They're occupying the homes of the civilians. You can stop any Sudanese here in Kigali and ask him one question. What is about your home? What is about your family? You will listen to the same narrative, the same stories. My home is occupied by the RSF. My family displaced, and we have nothing right now. In Kigali, we have 4,000 Sudanese in all over the country. Ask anybody of them. They will give you the same information, the same narrative that will reflect the suffering of the people. When I say this is the biggest humanitarian crisis in the world, I mean by figures. 11 million people internally displaced, uprooted from their social basis, from their social connection, from their families that living in different parts of Sudan. When I say 11 million, it might ring a bell in your database. This is almost 95% of the population of Rwanda. This is 1/3 of the country right now, population of the country internally displaced. Imagine you are in Rwanda, 95% of the population displaced. They don't know where to go. Just imagine that. 100 people killed, 100,000 people killed. Most of them, they are civilians, they are girls, they are women, elderly people over there. We have 3 million refugees in the neighboring countries. Just in Western Darfur, a whole tribe of Masalit, because of the crimes that committed against this African tribe, most of them, they seek refuge in the neighboring country, Chad, over there. 3 million that right now they're in the neighboring countries, living there in camps as refugees. We thank all countries that open doors to receive the Sudanese that is as refugees, to give them protection, to give them basic services and humanitarian need and assistance over there. So will give you just a glimpse of the total suffering of the people right now in Sudan. The fifth point, they are using hunger as a weapon of war, and this is against the international humanitarian law as well. They block the distribution of the humanitarian assistance to the needy people. They looted them, and this is they are using hunger as a weapon of war as well to intimidate people to join the RSF. The sixth point, they are using the civilians as human shield. So the total death among civilians are because RSF, they are using the civilians as human shields. And this is also against the international humanitarian law. When you see these well-documented crimes, the only expectation that the international community should intervene and stop that. The international community has a responsibility to help Sudanese people to stop killing, war, and to bring peace and stability in the country. But unfortunately, this is my second point, some regional powers that are fueling this war for unknown reasons. And I will be very candid to name 2 countries that Emirates is the main sponsor, is the main financer, is the main provider of weapons, of military supply to RSF in Sudan. Chad is the corridor that supplying all this arm through, because we have more than 1,200 kilometers shared borders with Chad. So they are smuggling, they are opening all these corridors inside Sudan. So they are fueling the war. They are empowering the RSF to continue fighting. We have table complaint against Emirates in the Security Council over there. And without this sponsorship from and support and assistance from Emirates, this war will never continue. Without the support and assistance and open doors and territories from Chad, this war will never continue. Other point that they have recruited mercenaries. We have more than 50,000 mercenaries fighting in Sudan. They have been recruited from the neighboring countries, from Central Africa, from Niger, from South Sudan, from Ethiopia, from Chad themselves. All these mercenaries are being recruited and paid in foreign currency to fight in Sudan. So this also reflects another dimension, how the international and foreign intervention are complicating the process of this in Sudan. 2 other points before I open the floor and for that. We do trust that African mechanisms are able to solve the African problems. The main slogan of the African Union is to solve African problems by African people. Unfortunately, African Union doesn't have the political will to constructively involve to solve this problem. We guess that neutrality is not an answer to our question. Truth is very known. We need to stop the suffering of the Sudanese people. We need to support the Sudanese people. But if you are taking neutral side, that you are fueling the war and sponsoring the RSF, heinous crimes and crimes against humanity. The UN Security Council passed 3 resolutions on that. I give you one example. Last July, UN Security Council resolutions have been passed and ask and demand from RSF to break the siege of Al-Fashir. This is the capital of Northern Darfur State. Unfortunately, 7 months since that resolution from the Security Council, is still Al-Fashir under the siege. That means the UN Security Council resolution doesn't have any power of implementation and deterrence against the RSF. Regarding all of this, the National Army is making progress. We are beating RSF. We don't have any other option just to continue fighting. There is unprecedented solidarity from the Sudanese people that is supporting the army, supporting the leadership of the country. We have a legitimate government right now in Sudan. The National Security Council is there. We are trying as the government to provide humanitarian assistance and basic services. We have successfully retained the basic services about the communication system. Right now we have 2 communication operators. We are able to retain some of that basic services. The agriculture, right now we are about the harvesting season. We are trying to provide food to our people. We are open also to humanitarian assistance, and this is just also to express thanks and appreciation for the international organization and countries that are providing humanitarian assistance to the needy people in Sudan. We are open 6 corridors, some of them cross borders, for humanitarian supply and humanitarian assistance. One of them is Adari through Chad. In the last 7 months, we have give permission to more than 1,100 trucks with full food and supply to come through Adari, but there is some reservation that this corridor has been used by the RSF to supply arms to their troops in Sudan. We have opened 5 airports in Sudan also for humanitarian. We have other 6 corridors for humanitarian assistance. So there is no question about our cooperation to give access, unfettered access to humanitarian assistance to our people over there. Having said that, there is one very important information about the international intervention. In the span of 6 months, 145 cargo planes from Abu Dhabi to Mjaras, that is an airport in Chad, bordering Sudan, carrying arms, weapons, and also evacuating the injured people to the hospitals in Emirates. So this is also will show you how much the involvement of some regional powers fueling that. Having said that, what is the way forward? This is a problem. This is a violation of RSF. This is how the international community is dealing with Sudan as a forgotten war. But what is the way forward? As the government of Sudan, as far as we're concerned, we have 4 to 5 points that we see will be base for solving these problems. Number 1, to honor the declaration of principle of Jeddah Forum that has been signed between the government of Sudan and RSF. And this is also enforced the RSF to evacuate from the civilian facilities and to gather their troops in certain camps who are willing and open to facilitate that. Unfortunately, this declaration of principle is lacking implementation mechanism, which we urge UN Special Envoy Ramadan Lamamra to develop some implementation mechanism for that. We need RSF to evacuate from the civilian facilities and to gather their troops in certain camps. More than that, we have given unfettered access for humanitarian assistance. And for the transitional period, Sudanese people will be able to choose their political system, their political leader through election after a transitional period that should be governed by the legitimate institution right now in Sudan. More than that, all these criminals and perpetrators that committed all this genocidal and war crimes should be held accountable. They should be held accountable. They should be sentenced that because of the crimes that committed against the Sudanese people over there. To conclude, I would like just to express my profound appreciation for the government of Rwanda, and especially to His Excellency President Paul Kagame, that for his welcoming policies and open doors for all Africans, and especially Sudanese. As I told you, we have 4,000 Sudanese living in Rwanda, that because of this open policies, so we do appreciate the welcoming policies and the effort that has been taken by His Excellency President Paul Kagame on that. And second, also for the well political understanding for our Sudan problem right now here. We have very good bilateral political relation between Sudan and Rwanda. This will be like a good basis to improve our relations. And with the community here, we have also more than 1,400 students that are studying here. We have investment in small scale investment, almost exceeding $10 million in the domestic economy over here, and we'll continue encouraging our people to make investment in Rwanda as well.